Australia is one of the top bucket listed tourist destinations, but due to the fact that it's one big continent, most of the items on that bucket list seem to be things that you can do that's quite far away. When most people think of Australia, they think of places like Sydney, Melbourne, or even the Gold Coast, but that's all the way over in the eastern states. Now, most of Australian tourists are either Chinese, come from the UK, or different parts of Europe. So why not come to Perth instead, as it's not as overcrowded and it's probably 3 hours closer too. There's 4 things that people think of when coming to Australia, and that's to drink beer, ride a kangaroo, wrestle a croc, and spot a koala. And in Perth, you can do 3 out of 4 of those things. You can't wrestle a croc. They'll kill you, and we only have some crocs in the zoo anyway. Koalas are not actually native to Perth, but you can find them in different wildlife reserves. You can, however, drink beer and pop down to one of the local bottlers, or find yourself immersed in one of the many local breweries, and you can even ride a kangaroo. That's if you catch a Qantas flight, because it's a kangaroo. Get it? So like I said, if you want to see a croc, you have to visit Perth Zoo. If you're staying on the north side of Perth, I actually highly recommend to catch the ferry from Elizabeth Quay. That crosses the river and takes you to the south side of Perth. And the zoo is only a short walk from there. Not only will you see crocs, but also there's plenty of Australian animals too, but we also have plenty of exotic creatures as well. Did you know that Perth Zoo actually went viral before the internet was even a thing, with a famous picture called The Kiss, when a mother giraffe kissed the forehead of her baby? Yes, there are koalas in the Perth Zoo, but the best place in Perth to go see them is actually at Yanchep National Park, where you may be even lucky enough to catch them wide awake and jumping about the trees. Did you know that koalas actually sleep for 20 hours a day? There's also plenty of kangaroos to see at Yanchep National Park as well, but if you're in Perth City, the best place to see them is actually at Harrison Island, which is a small island by the Causeway Bridges. There's not very many kangaroos there, but there's definitely plenty if you head over to Whiteman Park. Pretty soon the park will actually have 2 train stations, one on the east side and the west side, which will actually make access a lot easier for people that don't have a vehicle. Whiteman Park is full of kangaroos, and cattle too, but keep in mind that they will hop away if they're startled. But Caversham Wildlife Park, which is inside Whiteman Park, even has an area where you can pat and hand feed kangaroos and wallabies as well. So beer, it's just a part of Australian culture. Did you know that Australia's first unofficial currency was beer? The top places in Perth to get a taste of the hops is 1. Little Creatures Brewing Company in Fremantle, 2. Bailey's Brewing Company in the Swan Valley, or you can also head over to the Swan Brewery in Perth. But if you ask anyone from Perth what to buy from the bottler, they'll say Bush Chook, which is emu export. There are plenty of different places around Australia that people want to visit, but in Perth we've got some places that are pretty similar to the top ones. So the Whitsundays in Queensland is a top tourist destination, but damn, it's pricey. Now every single Perth beach has pristine white sand, so you're not going to go wrong there. But if you're looking for something that's pretty similar, you could head down to Albany and go to Misery Beach, or you can hop over to Esperance and head to Lucky Bay. Everyone wants to swim at the Great Barrier Reef, but from Perth, you don't actually have to go very far to go swimming in some pretty stunning reefs. I've got a few favourites, and mine are Marmion Beach, Medham's Pool, and even around the Omeo shipwreck. Uluru. Okay, so we do have Wave Rock, but to be truthful, it's actually 4 hours away. But if you're looking for some red dirt, Australian bush, rocky outcrops, John Forest National Park is it. There are some pretty stunning nature trails where you can wander along the paths and feel lost in nature, but know that you're only a stone throw away from the city. Wildlife, native flora, and even the heritage trails make this a brilliant day out. Oh, and even in the wet season, there's waterfalls too. The Blue Mountains over east is probably one of the top places that a lot of people want to see, but in Perth, well, we say the hills. The Darling Ranges is a stunning backdrop to Perth, and a trip up to see many of the stunning Perth hotspots is a must. Places like Mundaring, famous for the Weir and mountain bike trails, Kalamunda for Rocky Pool and its wildflowers, or even Ellis Brook for the abundance in wildflowers, wildlife, and even the stunning view of the falls, just to name a few. The Perth Hills has many stunning hiking trails that you can follow. Many people want to head up north to places like Kakadu National Park, but it's extremely rural. But in Perth, I highly recommend to go to Lesmody Falls in the wet season. Lesmody Falls is Perth's tallest waterfall that cuts through the gorge and even has a beautiful view of the city. Or you can head back over to the Swan Valley and head to Bells Rapids, where it slightly imitates some of the gorges of the north, with the red dirt, the rocky outcrops, the stunning river, and also Zambia palms. These palms are similar to the ones that you'll find in the oases up north, and you'll even find a waterfall in the wet season too. The Daintree of Queensland may be the world's oldest rainforest, but the karri trees of the Margaret River and Pemberton region may give it a run for its money, in a very Perth kind of way. In Pemberton, there's even some trees that you can climb. With no safety gear or even railings, would you dare wind your way around the tree, step by step on Rio bars, just to make it to the top of an old fire watchtower? Now Adelaide, they boast a pretty laid-back lifestyle, with historical churches and all the rest of it. But Fremantle, just south of Perth City, boasts the same historical features that show just how our country was colonised back in the day. Now when it comes to wine, the Barossa Valley or the Yarra Valley are probably one of the top tourist spots here in Australia, but in Perth we have the Swan Valley. That's actually Australia's second oldest wine region. Did you know that? You can eat and drink your way through the valley at many of Perth's iconic wineries, breweries and distilleries, and also restaurants. Winery tours are probably one of the top ways for people to get through the valley, with plenty of taste testing too. The Great Ocean Road in Victoria may be on the top of your bucket list, but in Perth, it's practically a tradition for young drivers to ride along the West Coast Highway. Traditionally, you'd actually start with a cruise through Fremantle, past the Cafe Strip on South Terrace, following Queen Victoria Street or even Beach Street, whatever tickles your fancy, by the port. Then you follow the road north by the beach to Curtin Ave. Here you drive past one of the most iconic beaches of Perth, which is Cottesloe Beach, along Marine Parade. And don't forget to stop for a drink at the famous Indigo Oscars. As you drive along the coast, you'll find the road will take you away from the beach, but that's only for a small section, as the road detours its way around Swanbourne Beach, which is actually Perth's own nude beach. And from here, this is actually technically where you hit the West Coast Highway. You'll have your beach views again by Floreat Beach till you hit Scarborough. Swim, surf, or even Sunday sesh your way through until you drive on further. Now this is where the real Sunday drive starts. From Trigg, Medham's Pool, North Beach and even Marmion, you can cruise along. Admire the flashy millionaires' homes, stop for a swim in one of the pristine turquoise waters, or just have a perv on the birds, like all the blokes do. Here you'll finish your drive at Hillary's Boat Harbour, and to finish it off, go for a drink at the Breakwater Tavern. Now I've only scratched the surface of Perth, as there's many places to see and do. So I hope you come, I hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!